Ceremonies. Please welcome the radio voice of your New York Mets, Howie Rose.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Back in 1981, the Mets Hall of Fame was established with the inductions of the team's first owner, Joan Payson, and first manager, Casey Stengel. Now, over the years, members have been enshrined for their exceptional contributions on the field, from the broadcast booth, or in the front office. The Hall of Fame committee unanimously voted for the two inductees we celebrate today, individuals who played pivotal roles over multiple decades of this club's history. Today, we honor a pair of men whose contributions to the New York Mets cover two separate tenures each, both ultimately leaving an indelible mark on the history of this franchise. Lee Mazzilli is New York through and through. A first-round draft pick out of Brooklyn's Abraham Lincoln High School, he immediately became a fan favorite in the late 1970s. His face adorned billboards throughout the city, befitting his star status. In fact, in 1979, he became the first Met ever to homer in the All-Star game, and later that night drove in the game's winning run for the National League. In 1986, having been traded several years earlier, he returned to the Mets and was a significant contributor to the Mets' 1986 World Championship, starting key run-scoring rallies with hits in both Game 6 and 7. Connecticut's Bobby Valentine was one of the greatest high school athletes in the history of the tri-state area. Late in his major league playing career, he played for the Mets and was a mentor to many, including and especially Lee Mazzilli. However, Bobby's greatest contribution to the Mets was as their manager, leading them to the 2000 National League pennant, becoming the first manager in team history to lead them to consecutive postseason appearances. And just as important, his tireless work in the aftermath of the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks was nothing short of heroic. So now, let's meet the special guests joining us here on the field. Please welcome Bobby Valentine's son, Bobby Valentine Jr. And members of Lee Mazzilli's family, his wife Danny, son LJ, daughter Lacey, daughter Jenna, granddaughter Sophia, and sister Joanne. Also joining us on the field, and we're so happy they're here, are family members of the late Hall of Fame Achievement Award recipient, former Mets photographer Mark Lavine. Please welcome his widow, Steph Lavine, and daughter Samantha. Vice President of Alumni Relations and Team Historian and former recipient of the Mets Hall of Fame Achievement Award, Jay Horwitz. Additionally, please welcome the owners of your New York Mets, Alex and Steve Cohen, and Mets manager Carlos Mendoza. Now let's also welcome Hall of Famers, alumni, and close friends of our honorees. Former teammate of Lee Mazzilli, Rick Cerrone. Teammate of Bobby V and former general manager of the Texas Rangers, Tom Grieve. Hockey Hall of Famer and mentor to Bobby V going all the way back to the Cape Cod League, Lou Lamoriello. Former Mets general manager, Joe McIlvaine. Former Mets general manager, Steve Phillips. Baseball Hall of Famer and former Mets player and manager, Joe Torre. Former Mets player and Mets manager, Willie Randolph. And Mets Hall of Famers, Hojo Howard Johnson. Edgardo Alfonso. Mookie Wilson. John Franco. Al Leiter. And Baseball Hall of Famer, Mike Piazza. We ask now that you please turn your attention to City Vision as we honor our inductees.
Two of our own, Lee Mazzilli and Bobby Valentine, whose stories are connected by the Mets.
Another great story. Lee Mazzilli, tonight he started the big rally.
For me, it's just like a Cinderella story.
You reflect on flashback to the kid who was drafted in 1968 and the long road to a World Series finally?
Yeah, it's been a long road.
And a road that led to an unbreakable bond, a 50-year friendship that began in 1977. Teammates and even roommates. Their journey to Queens never far from home. Neighborhood guys. Maz was from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn-born Lee Mazzilli.
From stickball on the streets in Sheepshead Bay to the shadows of Coney Island. His path led to Lincoln High School, then to becoming the #1 pick in 1973 of the New York Mets. He quickly became the center of attention in orange and blue.
On the run, Mazzilli.
Even among stars, he stood out.
Well hit to left field, down the line. It is a home run. Lee Mazzilli.
Bobby V's path started just miles away. Stamford, Connecticut, a multi-sport star growing up. The game was always there, but so was something else, leadership. And in the mid-90s, he arrived in Queens, bringing energy, edge, excitement.
Put the Mets into the playoffs
as the leader of this group to get them back on the right track.
They told me they had it together. I believed it right from the day one.
He ushered in a new era of Mets baseball. To their big hits,
base hit from Mazzilli,
to stepping up for the city in a time of need. Their part of moments will carry forever.
I think Brooklyn exploded when you got defense single tonight.
I think 55,000 people in the stadium exploded.
Different eras, same feelings.
going to the World Series.
Now, as Mets Hall of Famers,
And we did it as a team, that's it.
And I just like to share it with all my family in this great organization, the New York Mets.
their place is forever.
Thank you. And now, Please direct your attention to the Mets dugout as we welcome today's honorees, Lee Mazzilli and Bobby Valentine. The Mets Hall of Fame Achievement Award was established to honor those who have left an indelible mark on this organization and exhibited the highest level of dedication, achievement, and service to the franchise and the fans. This year's recipient is being awarded posthumously to team photographer Mark Lavine. Mark spent 35 years working for the team that he loved, capturing some of the greatest moments in the history of our franchise through the camera lens of which he was an absolute master. Earlier today, the Mets were proud to gift the Lavine family a mosaic made up of his photos to honor his legacy. Please direct your attention to Citi Field for a special video tribute.
Ready? You tell me. Mark Lavine, Mets photographer. Go ahead.
Mark Lavine was the longest tenured photographer in team history, beginning in 1989 and working for 35 years. Along the way, he photographed over 2,000 Mets players, including some of the brightest stars and biggest moments in franchise history.
He made the cut! Johan Santana has pitched a no-hitter!
Mark was more than a photographer. He was a kind soul, beloved by players, coaches, and fellow employees throughout the organization. The relationships he built and the moments he captured helped define generations of Mets memories.
Most often asked question, what's your favorite picture? It's a picture that means something.
And here to present the Mets Hall of Fame Achievement Award to Mark's family is Mets owner and president of the amazing Mets Foundation, Alex Cohen. Accepting the award on Mark's behalf is his daughter, Samantha. And now we begin with the first Hall of Fame induction. Presenting Bobby Valentine with his commemorative Mets Hall of Fame plaque is Mets Hall of Famer Mike Piazza. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Valentine.
Thanks, Howie. Do I just bring my son up for the jacket, or is that later?
It's coming.
Well, first off, this isn't my Hall of Fame jacket. And they tell me that my son, Bobby Jr., could come up and give me my Hall of Fame jacket. So,
I'll trade you.
thank you, bro.
Take the other one.
Yeah. Well, Howie, thank you very much. And how lucky am I to have someone like that be in my family. And he and his mom, Mary, were the wind beneath my wings. And I just couldn't be here without them. And I'm just so lucky to have them and everyone that I consider my family, and including my special family. You know, I'm going to take it through a quick journey, but before I do, how good did Lee Mazzilli look in a uniform? Wow! Huh? That brought some to the ballpark. God, it's great to be here with him. He was my last roommate. We've had a special relationship forever, and not only was he a great player, but obviously a better person. I'm very lucky to have him as part of my extended family. And you know, I'm going to do it real quick about my luck, because I want to just tell you about luck, because I'm a lucky guy. Lucky before Mary and Bobby, lucky in the 1920s when my grandparents came over, came through Ellis Island, and decided to make their home in Stamford, Connecticut. And my mom and dad got to meet there, who, by the way, were only the best mom and dad that ever lived. And they were married, and then they were able to have my older brother before me. How lucky was I for that, to have the greatest, oldest brother that anyone could ever have. But then, you know, I grew up in that little town, a spectacular little town with people who cared about people, who had a great sports community, a great school community. And I was lucky to have guys like Esposito and Mancini and Lorino. Oh, they weren't all Italian. I also had coaches like Shaden and Melzer and Borowski and Parenti. But you know, as I was doing stuff in Stamford and growing up, as the pop singer Adele says, I didn't have the time to choose what I chose to do. But luckily, I had a great support staff who was helping me choose what I chose to do. And what I chose to do was spend my senior summer year in Cape Cod, because the great Lou Lamorello, who was a 24-year-old coach at Providence College, and he was putting his neck out on the line to be a first-year manager in Cape Cod, and he took a high school kid. And because of that, I got scouted. I became a #1 draft choice. I had the great Andy Robustelli negotiate my contract with the Dodgers, and I went down and got to play for the great Tommy Lasorda. So who else in 1 year could be mentored by a future Hall of Famer in hockey, a future Hall of Famer in football, and a future Hall of Famer in baseball? That's how lucky I was. Huh? Yeah. And then I got to play for Tommy and start to meet players and coaches and people in baseball. What a blessing. And then I got to play for Joe Torre a very little. But he was wise not to play me very much, because it's amazing that basically my first manager was Lasorda and my last one was Torre. How lucky was I? I got through playing, No one wanted me anymore. I opened up a restaurant business. I went to a charity dinner, and a guy said, hey, what are you going to do if no one calls you? I said, I have no idea. And this Joe Romano said, why don't we do a restaurant? And so I opened a couple restaurants with him. I was so lucky to know his family and friends. So lucky to have great people working for me. And I got a call to coach in the minor leagues, and I did with the Mets. Then I got promoted to be a third base coach. And then at 35, I got a phone call from the guy who I sat the bench with for Joe Torre's New York Mets in '77. And he now had progressed through the Texas Rangers organization to become the general manager. And he said, hey, why don't you come down and manage? And how lucky was I that we got to be Mets together and then got to be working together as Nolan Ryan was throwing no-hitters and 5,000 strikeouts, et cetera, and work for George W. Bush, the managing owner. How lucky is that? And then after I leave there, I get to be the first manager from the United States to manage in Japan, and then I get a call from Joe McIlvaine, who's the general manager of the Mets, and he said, hey, can you come back stateside? There might be a job opening. And I came back, and Joe hired me to be the Met manager. And after he built that team that I had the pleasure of coaching and watching grow, Darryl and Doc through the minor leagues, Lenny and Wally, I got to leave and watch them win a World Series. Steve came along and built the team a little better. Got guys like Leiter, who's the most competitive dude I ever saw on the mound, to add to Fonzie and Franco, who are already here. And I know Johnny's in this Hall of Fame, but he belongs in another Hall of Fame in upstate New York. And then they say the final piece, well, it was the biggest piece. Steve brought in Mike Piazza so that we could do what we did together, to do a couple of playoffs, and it light this city on fire. How lucky was I for that? Now I'm on a speech clock, so I have about another minute and a half. As life goes on and churns through and you start realizing how lucky you are, you understand all the family and friends from your hometown that gave you your support. You understand the players you played with, the players you coached, the players you met, the coaches you worked with, the front office, and everybody else, and how lucky you were at to have special people around you. But you know, when those planes hit downtown Manhattan and people were looking for leadership, not only did the New York Met team step up, but they followed the lead of Jay Horwitz, who ignited our team to be unified in an effort to bring this city back. And by God, we did it. And how lucky am I to be all part of that? So the last little minute here, I'm fortunate to have 1,000 athletes and 40 or so athletes at Sacred Heart University, where I was an executive director, and fortunate that Tommy Lasorda introduced me to a guy named Warren Lichtenstein. And along with Mike in Italy and me in Japan and our great country of the United States, we're trying to reach 10 million kids through their coaches, to teach him the right way to coach and have kids first. It's called the Lasorda way. And what we make everyone understand that players don't care what you know until they know that you care. And we're spreading that word, and I'm fortunate to be with Warren in what he's doing here in the future. But I'm closing with this. I went to a dinner with him in Beverly Hills Hotel. Michael Milken had all these successful people raising money. I got to meet a lot of people. At the end of the dinner, a guy comes over to me. He shakes my hand. He says, "Thank you, Bobby. I'm the CEO of a company in Greenwich, Connecticut. My name is David Esposito. And I want to thank you because you made me who I am today." And I was bewildered, and he told me about the time I spent 20 minutes with him in the stands when he was having a situation in his life, and that was the thing that propelled him to success. He said it was because of me. And I'm going to end with this. It was because of you. My family, my friends. It was because of you. My teammates and the people I got to coach and love and play with and play for and listen to. It was because of you. It was because of the press that let the word get out so that I could share what I wanted to share with any of you. And it was because of you, the great fans of the New York Mets, that I am who I am today. And I thank you all. God bless you, and let's go Mets!
Thank you, Bobby, and congratulations again. Now, presenting Lee Mazzilli with his commemorative Mets Hall of Fame plaque is now fellow Mets Hall of Famer Al Leiter. Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Mazzilli.
Thank you. Thank you, Howie. Wow. There are so many wow moments in a lifetime, but today is a wow moment. I would like to thank the Cohen family for bringing back the great history of this franchise. And thank you for bringing me home. To Carlos Mendoza, you got this. To Jay Horowitz, you are a big brother to every one of us and every player on this field, and I thank you for being you. And to my fellow honoree, I could not think of a better pick to share this day with. From teammates to roommates to unconditional love and friendship that goes back almost 50 years. I love you, brother. And to Joe T. I remember the first day we met was in Wrigley Field in Chicago. And we were introduced. And I remember standing next to you, and we were talking about Brooklyn and about the game. And you said, "Stick with me, kid." And I have for 50 years. I needed both of you here today. As you know that. You know, baseball is what we do, but it's not who we are. And I would like to tell you who I am. And it goes like this. Hello. My name is Lee Mazzilli, and I was born in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. To two proud, old-school Italian parents, Libro and Teresa Mazzilli, who instilled old-fashioned value, love of the family. I remember as a kid, growing up, I didn't have much. It was the five of us in a 3-room apartment in Brooklyn. And I remember one day during the winter, we didn't have a bathroom inside the apartment. It was outside in the hallway. And I remember my dad shaving with his winter jacket on, like this. And as a kid, I'd go out there. And I'd say, "What are you doing, Pop?" He'd say, "Close the door. You're letting the heat out." I said, "Pop, we don't have heat." He laughed. He thought it was funny. But I felt like the richest kid in the world. As I got older and started to play this game of baseball, it was my dad who knew nothing about baseball. The only thing he knew was Joe DiMaggio. That was it. But I'll tell you what he did know. He knew how to support his son. Be there for his son, no matter what. Good, bad, didn't matter. He was there every day, every game. And the reason why I'm saying that, to all you moms and dads out there, support your kids. Be there for them. Because you never know, one day, they might be standing behind this microphone. Your son or daughter as a Hall of Famer for the New York Mets. To my sister Jo, thank you for being you. Your unconditional love has never wavered. To my kids, Jenna, Lacey June, LJ, you make Pop proud every day. Good, bad, or indifferent, I'm proud of you. I always get a kick that all three of you make fun of my Brooklyn accent, and I know we got a laugh at it. To my granddaughter, Sophia, my little Facciabella. I've waited my whole life for you. You've changed my world. And I cannot think of the day that you and I walk hand in hand in that rotunda and see you and say, "That's you, Grandpa." Yeah, that's going to be special. To my wife of 42 years, my wife Danny, my girl, you have a heart that is as big as this stadium. There's nothing you would do for anyone or any time. The job that you did raising the kids while I was gone playing this silly game was masterful. My daughter said save the best for last. Well, I want to thank the fans. Thank you for being you. You know where you stand as fans. I want to end on this. Looking at all these great players, Hall of Famers, friends, I know that I am not the best player in the Mets Hall of Fame, but I am the proudest.
Thank you, Lee and Sophia, and congratulations to you, all of the inductees and guests here today, and fans. Here is the Mets Hall of Fame class of 2026. Thank you.
Fans, it's time to announce the starting lineup for today's game for the visiting Miami Marlins, who are managed by Clayton McCullough. Leading off, the second baseman, number 9, Xavier Edwards.